A quiet room can hide the loudest truths. You sense at the moment you step into the world of Witness 8, a world where a single voice can tilt the balance between freedom and ruin, and where justice moves like a shadow, quick but never predictable. Every courtroom has its secrets, but this case begins with a question that feels heavier than any verdict. What if the one testimony everyone depends on is the one that puts you in greater danger than the crime itself? What if the truth comes from a witness who has more scars than memories, and more fear than certainty? That question sits at the center of Witness 8, and it pulls you forward like a tide. Eddie Flynn returns to defend a client who stands on the edge of a life he never imagined would collapse. A murder, a chase, a man hunted by the system and by those who hide behind it. Eddie has been inside enough courtrooms to know that the law is rarely blind. It sees what people want it to see. Yet this time, the entire case hinges on someone the world has chosen to forget. Witness 8, a woman who lives as if she has already vanished. A woman whose past hides more than the prosecution could ever uncover, and whose future depends on a single decision: to speak or to disappear for good. The story begins with a body, a chaotic scene, and a client who swears he is innocent. Eddie hears the details and senses the cracks beneath them. A murder like this should leave a clean trail. This one leaves fragments that feel planted, arranged, curated. You feel Eddie's instinct sharpen. Something about the police report smells manufactured, as if someone rewrote reality and left the edits in plain sight. He has stood across from corrupted systems before, but this time the rot feels deeper. It feels intentional. In the middle of this uncertainty, one name rises. A witness who came forward once, then vanished. A witness who knew something she should not have known. Witness 8. She had given the police a statement that supported Eddie's client, then withdrew it. Then disappeared from every official record. Eddie realizes that without her, his defense has holes no jury would overlook. He needs her. The truth needs her. But finding her is not a task for an attorney. It is a task for someone willing to step into the shadows she lives in. When Eddie finally locates her, she is not the fragile figure the system painted her to be. She is strong, angry, and afraid in a way that makes you wonder what she has seen. Her real name is buried behind years of survival. Trauma has carved out parts of her life, leaving spaces she chooses not to revisit. She tells Eddie she wants nothing to do with the case. She tells him that speaking would destroy her. But Eddie sees something else in her eyes. A conflict between fear and conscience. A desire to do what is right, chained to the fear of what doing right would cost. Eddie listens. He does not push. He understands that truth cannot be forced from someone who has spent years defending herself from the world. But he knows she holds the key. Her account contradicts the prosecution's timeline. Her knowledge of the scene is too precise to ignore. She knows details only the killer or an eyewitness can know. And she knows something else, something she refuses to say out loud. Someone is watching her. Someone who wants her silent. As Eddie investigates, he begins to uncover threads that tie the murder to a larger scheme. This was not a random killing. This was an execution disguised as chaos. The victim's connections, the financial ties, the hidden alliances, each detail leads Eddie toward a truth that feels colder than the crime itself. Someone powerful stands behind the scenes, someone who manipulates witnesses, evidence, and even police officers. Eddie realizes that his client did not stumble into a crime scene. He stumbled into a conspiracy. Witness 8 becomes the only person who can unravel the lie. But with every step Eddie takes, the danger coils closer around her. The people involved in the murder are not afraid of courts. They are afraid of exposure. A single testimony could bring their entire operation into daylight, and they are willing to silence that testimony at any cost. As Eddie digs deeper, he learns her real story. She once trusted the system. She once came forward in a different case, believing her voice would protect the innocent. Instead, she became the target. The retaliation forced her into a life of hiding. She changed her name, her home, her friends. She has lived on the run for so long that safety feels like a rumor. This is why she refuses to testify. Not because she doubts the truth, but because she doubts her own place in the world. She believes the system cannot protect her, and for her, stepping into a courtroom feels like a death sentence. Yet Eddie sees something she does not. He sees the strength she tries to hide. He sees the courage beneath the fear, and he knows that the case will collapse without her. He asks her one question, not to force her, but to bring her back to herself. What kind of world do you want to live in? A world where silence keeps you alive, but kills everything around you? Or a world where your voice sets you free, even if it shakes the ground beneath you? Her decision does not come quickly. It arrives in the quiet moments, during memories she spent years trying to bury. She remembers why she first came forward. She remembers the pain of watching injustice unfold while she stayed silent. And she remembers the face of the man now standing accused, a man who, like her, is being crushed by forces he cannot fight alone. She sees herself in him, a person, trapped in a race they never chose. When she finally steps forward, Eddie knows the storm is coming. The prosecution scrambles. The shadowy forces behind the murder begin to close in. The courtroom transforms into a battleground where truth and manipulation collide. Witness 8 walks into the room with steady steps. For the first time in years, she refuses to hide. Her testimony hits like a blade. She describes what she saw. The voices, the timing, the movements, the small details that only a real eyewitness can notice. The prosecution tries to tear her apart. They attack her credibility, her past, her trauma. They accuse her of inconsistency, of delusion, of fabrication. But she stands firm, not with loud confidence, but with quiet truth. Her strength comes from the fact that she has survived worse than anything a lawyer can throw at her. Eddie feels the shift. Jurors lean forward. The room breathes differently. The case transforms in real time. Her words do not just introduce doubt. They introduce a new narrative. A narrative where the wrong man sits accused, and the real orchestrators remain outside the courtroom. But revealing the truth has consequences. As Eddie exposes connections between the crime and high-profile individuals, threats surface. Witness 8 becomes the primary target. The closer Eddie gets to revealing the full scheme, the more desperate the conspirators become. They close in on her location. They try to intimidate Eddie. They use influence to twist legal procedures, yet each attempt exposes them further. The climax arrives when Eddie uncovers a hidden piece of evidence that ties everything together. Financial records, communication logs, footprints in the timeline. This evidence, combined with Witness 8's testimony, forms a chain too tight to break. Eddie presents it with precision. He dismantles the prosecution's case point by point, revealing how every manipulated detail was designed to frame his client. The courtroom becomes silent. The jurors see the truth. They see the real story of a conspiracy built on fear, manipulation, and power. And they see the courage of a woman who risked everything to bring that truth to light. The verdict comes. Eddie's client is declared not guilty. Relief washes over the room, but it does not erase the danger that still surrounds Witness 8. Eddie arranges protection. The system, flawed as it is, must now repay the debt it owes her. In the final moments of the story, you see her step outside into the open air. She looks toward a horizon she once believed she would never reach. For the first time, she stands not as a victim, not as a hidden witness, but as someone who reclaimed her voice. Eddie watches her walk away, knowing she carries both the scars of her past and the strength of her choice. Witness 8 is not just a legal thriller. It is a reminder that truth often survives only because someone is brave enough to carry it. It shows how a single testimony can change the course of a life, and how the smallest voice can topple the loudest lie. It reminds you that justice is not a system. It is a choice, made again and again, by the people willing to speak when others would stay silent. If this story moved you, let it push you to seek truth in your own world. Look for the voices that go unheard. Stand for the people who have been pushed into shadows. And if you ever find yourself holding a truth that others fear, remember Witness 8. Remember that silence protects you for a moment, but truth protects you for a lifetime.